If you are someone that has a creative career and a creative role, and you are finding that you are experiencing creative burnout, or maybe you work a traditional 9 to 5 job, and by the time that you're done with it, you find that you don't have the time or the energy to want to create anything for yourself, or maybe you're just someone that likes to create on their spare time, but you're experiencing creative burnout, this video is for you. For the last 5 years, I have somehow been able to make my main source of income from creative roles and a creative career. And I will say 2 or 3 years out of the 5, I did experience creative burnout, mainly because I was working in roles that were essentially making other people's dreams come true. And I worked for a company that didn't necessarily value or appreciate me and the peers that were working along beside me. When you find that a lot of your time is being spent making other people's dreams come true, and then on top of that, you're not appreciated, that is the quickest way to creative burnout, at least for me. And what was really scary about that was not only did I no longer have the desire to create, but I also started to believe that I no longer had anything to say or contribute creatively to the world. And this past year has been the most challenging year of my life, because not only was I creatively burnt out, but I also am in this transitional period, and I feel like everything that I had worked so hard to achieve was stripped away from me. Not only did I have to, deal with becoming a new person and figure out who I was when everything that I worked so hard to achieve was stripped away from me, I also had to overcome creative burnout. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I did that and how I'm still doing it today. As I said before, this past year has been very challenging for me, because a lot of things got stripped away from me. The first thing that I really did to overcome creative burnout was sit in my feelings. And I feel like it sounds so simple, but if you're anything like me, then you are a go-getter. You're used to being on go, go, go. You have a hustle mentality, and you're used to being in survival mode. And especially when everything is being stripped away from you, your first thought is, how do I survive? You don't ever sit down and take the time to feel your feelings. But it got to the point where everything that I was doing and my desire to regain control of my life was not working for me. I had to sit with all of my feelings. I cried a lot. I was angry a lot, but being able to sit with those feelings and observe them and then let them go really helped me figure out like where my mindset was at, and it really helped solidify the fact that I knew that I never wanted to feel this way again. With sitting in my feelings, I found that my creative burnout was essentially dwindling little by little. That led to me journaling again, and slowly journaling led to me writing again and putting my feelings on paper, and I was writing stories and I was writing essays again, and now all of a sudden I'm coming up with YouTube video ideas and I have the desire to post on YouTube again. You have to feel your feelings, because your feelings are going to tell you what to do next. I'm not saying to react off of your feelings, but observe your feelings. Where are they leading you? What do you keep coming back to? And for me, I knew that I never wanted to be in a position again where I felt the way that I felt about myself, about my creativity, about my purpose. And that was essentially the first step to overcoming my creative burnout. The second thing that I did to overcome creative burnout was I started to say no to more things, and I started to put myself first. I was working for a company that did not value or appreciate all the time that we were putting in to making them look good and getting things done. It started to become like I got hired for a specific role. I was doing it for a few years, and I went from editing for film and television to all of a sudden I'm filling out Excel sheets for legal. And I started asking questions. I started being like, what exactly is my role here? What exactly am I doing? Because this is not something that I necessarily signed up for. I realized that I was starting to be taken advantage of, and I had to kind of put my foot down and start saying no to things. What that did was, for one, people were not happy, but also it did open up time for me to figure out what it is that I like to do and what it is that I want to create for myself. Around this time, I started to build a business that is I'm still building today. Obviously, like I'm back on YouTube again. So this is me like trying to create. I had to start sticking up for myself. I had to say no to the things that were taking away from my creativity. I had to start saying no to the things that were making me not feel worthy of this life. I mean, it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're standing up to your boss or people that you work with, because that is your livelihood. I know the type of person that I want to be. I know the impact that I want to make on the world, and it was no longer aligning. So I had to start saying no to those things. I had to start choosing myself. Saying no to free up your time. I started to go to the park and lay out a blanket like I'm doing right now and just be in nature again. I started working out more again. I started to write again. I started to journal, started to read books again. Like just little things that really just got the creative juices flowing. Definitely would recommend if you feel like you are just not delegating your time wisely and especially not delegating enough time to yourself, I would highly recommend that you start doing that. The third thing that I had to master in order to overcome creative burnout is something that I am still actively working on today because like I said, I have a hustle mentality. I'm a go-getter. I'm used to being in survival mode. So this next thing, it doesn't come easily to people like that. And that is mastering detachment. I kept trying to do things in order to regain control of my life. I was trying to do things in order to try to regain a control of my creativity. None of my efforts were working. And you know that quote where they say like, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. Well, like, I was actually insane. And when I realized that my efforts were not working and I was doing the exact same thing and expecting different results, I had to sit with myself and be like, at this point, I have nothing else to lose. The only thing that I have not tried yet is detachment and surrendering. And so I remember I sat down on my bed and I said, hey, God, universe, whatever, I'm giving this all to you because what I'm doing isn't working. I'm going to surrender to this experience. I'm going to detach from the outcomes that I want. I'm going to detach from trying to control this situation. It's crazy because that day when I let go, things started to shift for me and things started to come in for me. If you believe in like manifestation and like the law of attraction, they say that you need a certain level of detachment because trying and trying and trying and then showing the universe a lack mentality is not going to make things come in for you. You have to say what it is that you want and then detach from it. And that's exactly what I did that day. And I kid you not, 2 weeks later, things were starting to roll in for me, things that I actually prayed for and things that I actually wanted. And with detachment, I was no longer holding on so tight to my old life. I was fully surrendering to the moment and making space for my new life and for the new version of me that I kept saying that I wanted to be, but I wasn't allowing myself to be. And when you're holding on so tight to this past identity of yourself, how do you expect to even become that person? My highest self, the person that I want to be, is not somebody that holds on tightly to things. The person that I want to be knows that whenever one door closes, another door is going to open, and what's behind that door is going to be better. How do you become the person that you want to be? You have to act like that person. Acting like that person for me meant detaching. Detaching from that old way of being really opened up the doors creatively for me because not only did these opportunities come in that were opportunities to create and show what else I could do, but it also, once again, freed up time for me to do the things that I want to do. Whatever it is you feel like is holding you back creatively, detach from it. Detach from your desired outcome. Things will start rolling in. The last thing that I have been doing to overcome creative burnout is to just create anyways. And you may be looking at me like, girl, how do I create when I don't have the desire to create? I believe that there's something very spiritual about creating. I think that creating is one of the only things we as human beings were put on this earth to do. With creating, you need some sort of devotion. If you don't love what you do, you're going to have a really hard time doing it. I chose this path. I love this path. I love creating. And I have given up a lot. I've sacrificed a lot in order to do that. So I have a certain level of devotion. And when you have a certain level of devotion, you just do it. You do it when you're tired. You do it when you're sleepy. You do it when you're sad. You do it when you're hurt. You do it when things are not necessarily working out in your favor. You have to put in the reps. It's like working out. You may be burnt out. You may be tired. You may not want to go work out. Your muscles may be fatigued, but we all know that in order to get stronger, you have to put in the reps. You have to keep going to the gym. You have to keep doing it. The only way to overcome creative burnout is to keep creating, and you can start small. I always say that it's easier to think in practices and not in projects because projects have an end. So instead of saying like, I'm going to write a book, just every day make an intent that you're going to write for 20 minutes every single morning. Putting a practice to your creativity methods is going to make your life easier because it's just going to become part of your life and your daily routine. And when it's part of your life and your daily routine, you just do it anyways. You know, if you're a painter, just say, hey, I'm going to paint for 10 minutes every single day. I don't know, go buy those little mini canvases and say, you know what, I may not have the bandwidth to paint a big canvas today, but I'm going to paint this really mini canvas today, and let that be enough. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to create a masterpiece every single time. Not everything has to be a masterpiece. And that's crazy coming from me because I'm a perfectionist. Like, if it ain't perfect, I don't even want to put it out. I don't even want to do it. I don't want to look at it. The act of creating is beautiful. I think the act of creating is a privilege. And I think that we have to change our perspective on our circumstances when it comes to creating, because not everybody gets to do this. If you love it like you say you do, you're just going to do it. I just thought of something else that I've been doing to overcome creative burnout, and that is to stop consuming so much online. It is so easy to doom scroll. We have the world and anything we want at our fingertips. My consumption of other people's content and stuff was getting in the way of my creativity because I was starting to compare myself. Like I said, I truly believed that I no longer had anything to say or to contribute because I would look at other people's stuff and be like, why would anybody want to watch me when they can watch them? So I really had to put the phone down a little bit and relearn myself, relearn what it is that I like to do, and relearn what it is I like to talk about, and essentially just remember who the fuck I am, because I do have something to say. What I create does matter. It's so easy to look at TikTok and YouTube and whatever else, Instagram, and just start comparing your craft and your life, and now you feel behind because you're not where this person is. But we're all on different paths. We're all on a different journey. And especially if you're a beginner content creator and you're watching someone that's been doing it for years, well, you're comparing their middle to your beginning. You can't let other people's journeys get in the way of your own. So I would say just put the phone down a little bit. Let's reduce that screen time. Let's stop comparing ourselves. I'm kind of making a rule, like, for every minute that I consume something, I should probably go create something as well. So if I'm on TikTok for 40 minutes straight, doom scrolling, well, now I got to write something for 40 minutes straight, or I got to come up with YouTube ideas for 40 minutes straight. Just go out there like you have something to say and like you have something to contribute, because you do. I know that these things sound like they are easier said than done, but guys, I have actively been doing these things, and I am actively seeing changes, and I am getting my love for creating back. I'm not saying like you got to do all 5 of these things all at once. Like, obviously you're going to have to take a step by step and do things at your own pace and do the things that work for you. But I hope these things have helped you. My name is Drew, and I make videos on this channel that help you level up creatively and spiritually. If any of this resonated with you, please leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will see you in the next one.